Welcome to TBCN Unplugged. My name is John, and we are here with EJ Moreno. He is a YouTube sensation, right?
Well, yes, I have to say the irony of this being called Unplugged, and there are so many plugs.
There's lots of plugs, yeah.
So many
there's
things
wires
right
and
now.
plugs, and there's everything you can think of. Your channel is called Flickering Myth.
Yeah.
And you do movie reviews.
I do movie reviews. I've gotten into interviews in the last couple of years, which has been, I think, one of my favorite things I've done in a long time is talking to people, which is so weird that I'm on this end of it now, and I don't know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing because you went to Full Sail, which is a film and video production school, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I went there 2012.
Okay.
I was 21, so my heart got broken. I wanted to go make movies. I wanted to go be an artist now because, heartbreak. Yeah, and I went to Full Sail, and I was the weird artsy kid. Everyone there wanted to be Michael Bay's and Christopher Nolan's, and I'm like, what about John Waters? What about these weird 70s, Wes Craven? I like that kind of stuff. So I felt like the outcast, and I made some pretty scandalous movies at first. A lot of killing people.
You made horror movies while you were in school?
I did make some horror movies,
Yeah.
and I got to do the big final project at Full Sail, which was a weird goal for me. I wanted that 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter final project. I wanted it, and I got it, so that was nice.
So you shot film also.
I shot on film.
See that?
Yeah, so that was something. I mean, I was director for the project, writer and director for our project. You can see it online. It's called The Tale of a Monster Lilith. It is a recreation of Frankenstein, but just through the woman's perspective. And I loved it. I got to make it, got to shoot on film, which directing on film, you learn you don't have a lot of takes. I'm from the digital age.
Absolutely.
I'm from the camcorder age, even where
Me too.
You can kind of record over that film. It's one and done. So it was so scary, which I think made me better as a craftsman, as a content creator now, shooting on film and having to learn that. Really did teach me.
Absolutely, yes. Back then, in what you're saying, that wasn't actually that long ago. To be shooting film in 2011, that was, that was still an art.
Oh, yeah, it was. And it was expensive. We had to go to Miami because there was no place in Orlando or Tampa to get it developed. So we got to see them color correct the film. I took a trip with my DP on the project and a camera operator. We got to go down to Miami, see film be developed, which was, I was like, I made a little weird student film about monsters with green people, and I'm watching it be developed. It was a weird, surreal moment.
What a good education you got there. I mean,
yeah, I always say the aftermath of Full Sail was, we didn't teach you how to apply for jobs. We taught you how to do the job.
Yeah.
But when I first got into the industry, no one tells you how to put the foot in the door. They tell you what to do once you're in there, but I never knew how to put that foot in, so that's why I struggled for a little bit after. So I will say my education was great. I don't think I was prepared on the business side of it
I think that goes for like a lot of not just video production and film production, but a lot of places don't really prepare you. There's not a placement service, so to speak.
Yeah.
We try to help people with that here at TBCN. Like if someone comes through the training, I'll sit down with them and say, hey, so you really want to work in the business? Are you sure? Mm-hmm. And we'll kind of explore possibilities because everybody, there's some people that just end up going into news and making a career out of it. And that's fine. I tried it. Yeah. It wasn't for me.
I have a friend who does audio video work at hotels.
Yeah.
When they do conferences coming in.
Yeah.
And, he has steadier pay than I have in my artist life. So I was always like, I think video production isn't where you just see. I always tell people in the classes, you're not going to be the writer director all the time. Sometimes be the camera operator. Sometimes be the office job. When those credits at the end of the movie roll, your name's still in the end of the credits.
Yeah.
I don't care if you told people that, you're a production coordinator. Guess what? You were still production coordinator.
Absolutely.
So those jobs are important.
So you went into Full Sail wanting to be a filmmaker. When you came out, did you still want to be a filmmaker, or were you looking down a different path?
To be very frank, it's hard. 12-hour days, then you get sometimes 12 hours off. Sometimes, indie film, union, yes, you do. Indie, you're working 12 hours back on in the next 2 hours. So it was hard. It was something, in Florida, right when I got out, I think we had lost the tax incentive. to film here.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of getting out there and being like, oh, there's, we're in school. Oh, there's some, oh, we're making movies here. We shot Spring Breakers. We're Tim Burton's shooting movies here. And then it just dies out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard. I worked on a couple of indie projects locally. Some of them didn't pan out. And then I just kind of was like, you know what I really like to do? I really like to talk about things. Yeah. And then I just kind of fell into...
So you found your niche. And that's when YouTube was really kind of coming around. That was early YouTube.
Yeah, I missed the early wave of YouTube, which I regret so many times in film school. I should have been doing this in film school, with my friends and everything then. But I thought YouTube was going to die at one point. I just didn't think it was the service that it is now. And so I jumped on even later than I should have. I knew I should have got on earlier. But my movie reviews, I've been doing that since... 2016 is when I started full-time going into this world.
I don't know if you know, but I used to do movie reviews.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, Scream at the Wall. And that was early YouTube. That was like 2008 or 9. Yeah,
that's before I even.
It's an old channel. It's still on here. But yeah, we did only really bad B movies.
That's my favorite thing to talk about. I don't know if you're gonna end up wanting to talk about what I'd have to do now, but that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I got stuck doing blockbusters for a long time. Trying to do the Marvel movies. That's so bored.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted to talk about the poop movies, the bad movies. Right. They're so much fun.
The Rotten Tomato movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you get out of Full Sail, and then is there some time before you get a full-time job, or what?
Yeah, I was trying to work at a theater company for a little bit. That never panned out. Just, you know how the industry is. Well, we'll have an idea, and then it never goes anywhere 6 months down the line. So I tried that for a little bit, and then I just grinded at 9-to-5 jobs for a little bit. I worked at Toys R Us for quite a bit of time. Really like Toys R Us. To be honest, I like selling.
Yeah.
I like being a retail person. I think that's where my interview ability has come in. And I like BSing.
Yeah.
You give me 5 minutes.
I can tell.
Yeah. I'm a good bullshitter. I am very, very good at it. But no, so I fell in love with that, just doing that, talking there. And then I applied for TBCN around 2016. Yeah, around then too.
So then was TBCN your first production job, so to speak, more or less?
Yeah, which I will always say I feel like I was punching above my pay grade there. I was thrown in as a production coordinator, kind of filling in for your old job.
Yeah.
I worked under Pam, who used to work at TBCN. So she would set up the guest, and I would be like, all right, be here at a certain time, getting Bill Hodges and Chuck White and all these TBCN people, getting them to do shows and stuff, and it was fun. It was that's when I really, and at TBCN you also just don't have one job, because then I started working on TriCaster, which I have never.
That's right.
That's something I never did in film school.
Yeah.
We weren't really a TV. We learned about multicam editing. But I self-taught myself. Brian Hill, who used to work here too, taught me that TriCaster. I will also say, it's not that hard. You press 1, 2, and 3. You know what I mean? Realistically, it's a
turnkey system. It works really well when it works.
And I really liked it. I really fell in love with it. And now every concert I go to, every sports thing I watch, every TV show, I'm like, oh, there's the multicam.
There's the TriCaster. And the virtual sets were pretty cool, too. I miss those.
Yes, I do miss the virtual sets, the old TBCN. But yeah, that's TBCN was like my first real production industry kind of job, and I loved it. I loved telling people I worked for public access. I made a Bob Ross, a Elvira, her cheesy shows that we used to have.
Tom Green.
Yeah, Tom Green. I love that.
There's a really good Tom Green documentary out there. I just watched the other night.
Does it have that public access?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You got to check that out. How did you build up your audience, and how did you build up your YouTube following?
Yeah, so I worked for one website for a while called Monkeys Fighting Robots. It was this small little gig I had for a while, local, website creator and all that. And it was good. It worked. And then we ended up having a discourse and moving away from each other. So I tried to build my own website. That's impossible.
Yeah.
Building your own website, pop culture news website it's impossible. So I ended up finding Flickering Myth, which is a UK-based website.
Okay.
And I was just like, hi, I want to, I was brought on to do movie reviews for them.
Oh, it was somebody else's.
Yeah, Flickering Myth was a channel. It's like it's a whole company. I mean, they've been around for more than a decade, 14, 15 years. So it's been around for a thing, and they had a YouTuber for a while, and then I was kind of brought in when they were trying to revamp the YouTube. And I kind of came in, and you see early, I was doing green screen stuff. I've changed a lot on Flickering Myth of the style, the presentation, what I wanted to do with it. And I just was like, I want to talk about movies. I wanted a platform, and Flickering Myth was good. It had a really good home and a really good base, and it's allowed me to be Rotten Tomatoes approved. It got me into the Critics' Choice Association. Like, it opened so many doors to have a home, and because most of us, we have to freelance.
Yeah.
So it's easy to have a home.
So you get a lot of your contacts and through Flickering Myth?
Yeah. It is
okay.
They are the big thing. I mean, now that I've kind of established myself, there's a new movie this year called The Monkey. I was able to see it a month and a half early, 2 months early, just me in a theater by myself with the press person, just to take my notes. Those are things that I get because I'm a horror person.
Yeah.
That's my big niche. I made scary movies in film school. I mostly talk about especially bad horror movies, and I usually love them. If you make a movie for $1.50 and some hopes and dreams, I'm going to like your movie more than that $200 million movie that looks ugly. So I think I've kind of this niche online of people being like, well, if we send our bad movie to EJ, it might do well.
Right,
right. So, they've been sending me Long Legs last year. That's my highest watched review I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
It's 80,000 views on it.
Okay.
That's a small town sometimes with 80,000 people.
Right.
It blew my mind to have that. And so, Flickering Myth is still the big thing. And they're kind of my, I'm trying to expand off to just be EJ. I love Flickering Myth. It's my home. But I love being EJ. And I love still being able to do this. So I kind of I want my name to be there as well.
You have a second channel with just your name, EJ. That's
all.
And how is that different from Flickering Myth?
So mostly it started off. I'm a big fan of the show American Horror Story.
Yeah. Okay.
And when it was kind of, I started my reviews actually at TBCN filming them. I would come in an hour before work. It would air on Wednesday night, so I would come in Thursday morning an hour before I worked and filmed in the studio. And I was just talking about it, and I had such a good time. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And then with my channel, it just started getting. There was nobody doing American Horror Story.
Yeah.
So then I started getting this little fan base, and through years now, anything Ryan Murphy related. If I talk about Glee or Nip Tuck, they're coming in, and now I'm reviewing Dexter. So it's mostly a lot of TV, a lot of LGBT shows as well, which I love. Flickering Myth lets me do whatever, but it is mostly a male-dominated audience there. So with EJ, I could do gay things. I could do, the weird campy shows, the movies that nobody really wants to watch. I talk about that on there. Like, I just defended Scream 3 from 2000.
I just happened to watch that this morning.
I just defended this movie, and I had fun editing it and going back. So that's what I get to do on my channel is a little bit less of my 9 to 5 work for Flickering Myth and more of I'm just talk about whatever I want. I love being able to do that.
What's your favorite season of American Horror Story?
Ooh, it's Hotel with Lady Gaga.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's good. It's campy. It's bloody. I always say with Horror Story, you either get the campy seasons or you get the, wow, this is really serious and dour. We're in the insane asylum. It's 1980s New York with the AIDS epidemic. Sometimes I'm like, I want witches or Lady Gaga. I don't really need to be reminded of reality. The President season, where Trump was a villain cult, and I'm like, no, I don't want this right now. So I love a good campy Lady Gaga season.
That's cool. I haven't seen every season, but that one is one of my favorites. What's your favorite interview that you've had?
Yeah, it took me, to find my interview style as well. I was so nervous. You watch my first couple of interviews. It was with Andrew Lawrence, one of the Lawrence brothers.
Okay.
That's my very first full interview. And I love that. I actually love that for my first one. I'm just kind of, I think I don't have the idea of what I'm doing. So it's very raw, very candid interview style. But now I've got to interview my absolute icons and legends. I mean, Natalie Portman. I'm a Star Wars prequel kid.
Yeah.
I'm Black Swan. So I get to interview her and Julianne Moore together. I mean, those are Oscar.
Oh, they were together.
Yeah, they were Oscar winners. They were for this movie called May December for Netflix. I mean, just Oscar winners. I got to sit, and that was an in-person junket. Yeah. So I'm in person sitting there with them. I do a lot of stuff online because with the pandemic, that's when I got to do a lot more interviews is, we get to set up Kevin Smith at his house and do Zoom. So it opened up. So Kevin Smith, who I was a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back fan. I was John Waters. He's the reason I went to film school. He was the
John
reason.
Waters is the reason you went to film. Wow.
He was this punk rock queer director. I mean, I was a Simpsons fan, so I remember seeing him on The Simpsons as the guy who taught Homer to stop hating gay people. It was just so John Waters has always kind of been there in my life. So I was just like, oh well, if he can make movies where Divine eats dog poop
Right.
with his friends, you know, a drag queen eating, you know, all this crazy stuff. I can do it. And that was a big thing. So him, Eli Roth, was someone I haven't got to direct interview yet. But these kind of people, I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And Lady Gaga directed a music video like 4 months before I applied. And I was like, if Lady Gaga can direct a video,
Right.
anyone, you know, this isn't her 9 to 5. So that's when I fell in love. But yeah, so John Waters, Kevin Smith was great.
Talk a little bit about the Kevin Smith interview, because that was just the route you went down with that was.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would always tell people like Silent Bob was one of my crushes growing up. I loved Jay and Silent Bob. I thought they were funny stoner bros.
Yeah.
My type is still funny stoner bros.
Yeah.
Like it's never really changed. So I got to talk to Kevin Smith, and you know, this is about being comfortable with interviews. I had to be like, so we're gonna start off with a question about my crush on you I had, and just kind of I always say my interviews are like first dates. I have to get your guard down. I want you to just feel comfortable. So I was like, if I tell Kevin Smith I had a crush on him, either this is gonna make him laugh or he's gonna hate this. And he laughed, and he went on a tangent about having a gay brother I never knew about.
Yeah,
Like,
talk about an icebreaker, right?
yeah, so it was an icebreaker, and it got him you could just see that guard down.
Yeah.
So the whole interview, he
Yeah.
is just chill and funny
Yeah.
and adorable, and I love the
Yeah,
energy.
he was smiling the whole time.
Yeah,
He was,
It's really fun for me to see that kind of happen, and that's what I always tell people. You never know how the interview's going to go, but just have fun. He's a normal person. I think the only person is I'm a big Lady Gaga fan. I think that would be the interview that I would. How do I speak English
Yeah,
to you? Like,
yeah.
maybe, but you know, John Waters, like I said, you know, he was fun. We got to talk about Crybaby and you know Patty Hearst. I'm a big pop culture fan, like Trisha Hearst back in the day. You know, Tracy Lords, these people in this movie, and I'm like, tell me about working with them, and he loved it. It was really fun to kind of get to talk to my heroes now, and not as peers, but just be like, I'm just here BSing with you. You know,
Right,
as I did with
right.
someone at my retail job. I'm just here talking to John Waters and Kevin Smith, and I've interviewed M. Night Shyamalan multiple times now. So I love M. Night. Like, he is super nice.
And you're also a big wrestling fan.
I am a big wrestling fan. That's, I mean, little kid EJ,
Yeah.
you know, Attitude Era with Stone Cold and The Rock, and I loved the girls back then. And now I have a somewhat I wouldn't say partnership with AEW, but I'm getting to interview, this is a Florida-based company that's pretty big. You know, I've just interviewed Chris Jericho. I got to interview some of their big champions. I love wrestling, but mostly I get the wrestlers to get to talk about movies. That's the whole point of the interviews is like, let's just talk about pop culture. What are you watching? So I'm getting them to, like, again, open up. That's my big thing, is like, I love getting people to just like, ooh, tell me about you.
I love the way John Cena has kind of transitioned into being an actor.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I actually kind of like him. We have Batista as well.
He's hilarious.
Cena is very, very good. I think he's great. You know, when I was a wrestling fan and he would win all the titles against my favorite people, I hated him. I hated Cena. I was like, now that he's so far from wrestling and I could just see Cena as Cena, I'm like,
Right.
he's great. I love him. He's good. He really likes both. He loves wrestling. He loves film. And I just love people who love what they do. We have a lot of people who just kind of stumble into industries. I want people to love what they do and just kind of enjoy it.
And you do. You love what you do, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I will always say I wish the views were better. I wish the pay was better. Those are
Right.
the artist struggles of the reality. But like, I mean, not to sound like a toot, but like Netflix flew me out multiple times this year to go to premieres for their movies. I didn't pay a dime. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
how nice is that?
Those are stuff that, like, I got to go to California. I met Angelina Jolie last year.
You did.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who gets to do that?
You didn't get to interview her, but you met her on a set, or
No, it was an after party. I got to see the premiere of her movie Maria, which was a Netflix movie. She played opera singer Maria Callas, and she came to the after party and just sat and talked with critics for an hour.
Nice.
You know, that's Angelina. That's, there's few people in our industry that are like, the god tier kind of people. I think Angelina would be on that level, and she was so cool. So I got to take a picture with her. It was a really good, cool thing. So those are as much as I complain about pay, and I get to live, I love what I do, which is rare for people to have that have a job.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I wish I could feed my family better.
Right. You do still do training here, and you host shows here.
Yes, I
Which,
do.
you know, what was funny when we were looking for a host for On the Grid, we were like, well, who can do it? And somebody said EJ, and I was like, EJ doesn't want to oh, maybe he does, and it was just so natural for you because it started off with you also hosted some art shows too.
Yeah, I did the culture ventures.
Yeah.
I like doing it. That was new for me.
Yeah.
Getting to sit down and do a 30-minute
show, yeah.
interview. I do a lot of press, the junkets, which are 4 minutes. I just interviewed Scott Derrickson, who's a director like Doctor Strange and all that. I had 4 minutes with him. You know how hard it is to do an interview in 4 minutes?
Yeah.
And, and then those PR people will be like, please wrap it. And I'm like, I'm not going to cut them off. Like,
right.
Sure. So 30 minutes was hard. And that was a lesson I had to, again, TBCN has taught me multiple things on the fly of like, well, I've never hosted a 30-minute show. I'll learn how to do it. And not to sound cocky, but I like doing it. I think I'm okay at it. Like
No, you're more than okay at it. You're awesome at it. And I enjoy working with you on that because it doesn't matter if it's a kids show host like we had you interview Jack Hartman. I think you enjoyed that.
Oh, I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
I also did not realize that man is as famous as he was.
Right.
I was just like, Jack Hartman might be up there with my Natalie Portman interview.
Right.
Like, that might be one of the most famous people I've interviewed.
Absolutely. You've interviewed the cat people, you know?
The Tampa Bay Strays and, the DNA testing people. Those are, I don't know anything about
You
DNA
have to do
testing.
the research. That's where,
I've never ran an adoption agency for cats, but I also tell people I'm gleefully okay with admitting ignorance. Hi, I don't know what you do. Tell me what you do.
Yeah.
That is so many people want to pretend they go on Wikipedia, and I'm like, well, so as a DNA person, I heard you. No, I don't know that. So you tell me.
Right.
But that's how you have to present that interview, and you can get people to open up. You can get them to just tell me about what you want to do. Why do you want to do this? I love a why. What got you into this? I love those kind of questions because we all do this for different reasons. All of our jobs, if you are a vet, if you are a nurse or film people, we all do it for weird reasons. So I love to figure that out.
Definitely weird reasons. And I always say anybody that walks through the door at TBCN is just a little bit
It's that
off.
public
a little
access
bit weird.
weirdness. Yeah, you have to. It feels good, though.
What is your remembrance of public access the way it was and the way it is now?
So, growing up, in Florida, I probably would see TBCN, before thinking of it just the public access. You would go to the weird channel 99 or something, and, back in the older cable days, and it would always be like this. I love to see, I think TBCN has gone through so many evolutions, so many changes, but I love that it's still here, and I love that, we are one of the only public access left in Florida.
That's what I understand. We're the only true public access. There's government access and there's community access and local origination, and those are still around, but they're not truly freedom of speech channels.
Yeah,
like
and
we are.
and I love that it has. We've maintained. I mean, since I started, almost a decade ago now at TBCN. Aria Rodriguez is still hosting. She does the Mahente Tampa Bay, and she's done that for so long, and she just loves doing it. I just love that the TBCN has this weird family.
And that is a true public access show.
Yeah.
Because,
that is just her doing Tampa, local people, getting them to spotlight, and she's done it for so long, and she has such a mission for that. I always love that.
She has a really good following, and it's all in Spanish.
Yeah, trust me, learning how to technical direct a show in Spanish when you don't speak it, and you're like, switch now. Oh, she was still in the middle of a sentence. Great, So again, TBCN has taught me so much.
And what about training? You still do training at TBCN, and you're very good at that as well.
It all goes with I love BSing.
Yeah.
No, I spent a lot of money. Well, I did not spend a lot of money. Someone spent a lot. Sally Mae spent a lot of money for me to go to college. So I love being able to pass on knowledge that people don't have to spend $80,000 to learn this. So that was one of my big things when TBCN first was like, oh, you'll be teaching classes, because I was like, I'm not an educator. That's not my background. I barely know how to talk to my 7-year-old stepson. What do you mean I have to educate humans and adults of things? But I loved it, and I just love being able to pass on what I know. I always tell people like social media class. I may not be an expert. There's people who go to school for 8 years to be social media people, but this is what works for me in a very practical sense. I always joke with that with editing classes. I'm like, there's a lot of buttons here. You're not going to touch them. Don't worry about them right now.
Yeah.
If you want to be an editor, you'll get to know them. But I always tell people, like, I'm a very basic editor. I'm a very basic on this thing. And it's okay to not be the most extravagant. Get your way through, especially as content creators. You have to learn how to run camera, audio, this, be a little good at everything. And TBCN is really good at getting people to like find what they like to do, learn it. You know, we had a student here a couple years ago, Ursula. She moved to California and is working on stuff. Ursula Lumpkin, I believe her name is. I taught her classes here. Her story was insane. Like just watching her be like, oh, I love this.
I'm not familiar with her story, but we've had a lot of individuals who have gone on and used their training from TBCN to start their own companies, to get into production. It's amazing and how many lives that we've helped make their lives better as far as being in the business.
Yeah, especially because we focus a lot of low income families. We focus on a lot of underprivileged and or no privileged folks, and giving them a position of like I'm always the big idea of like if you see it, you can be it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know. Like I grew up in West Tampa. I didn't know I could go to flew out. I'm going to the Critics' Choice Awards on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know living in West Tampa, I could do stuff like that. No one tells us. And with TBCN, I love that we focus a lot of people that don't normally have access to production, don't have access to these things. And we're like, you can do it.
You found your niche.
Yeah, please do it. And I just love that we get to do that. Because, again, that was me realizing, like, oh, what do you mean I can go to film school and I can make something? Like, oh, everyone? Like, it's not just this weird, only Tarantino and Spike Lee and these only... You mean I could just do it? And I love that. I try to pass that on. It's like, yeah, you could do it. Please, pick up a camera. I don't know. Film on a potato if you need to. I don't care.
As far as becoming a filmmaker, do you still think... Do you still want to do that? Do you want to make a film? Or
I do.
You're okay with...
Yeah,
because I kind of went down the same road, and I kind of wanted to be a filmmaker, and then once I got into TV, I'm like, wow, this is a lot easier, and I'm better at doing this than
No, I mean I got to do first AD on a set maybe during the pandemic, so I love doing first AD. I want to do more film work. I don't know how to get back into it, so I think that's my thing, and
it's hard.
I still want to make a movie. I mean, I have scripts on the laptop of pitches, and I made a TV show once that I tried to sell to Amazon. So
what was it? Can you share with us?
Yeah, it's called October Squad.
Okay.
It was just this very Buffy, group of people during October have to come and fight demons. Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Monster of the Week, X-Files.
Uh-huh.
And then Sabrina came on Netflix a couple years later, and I was like,
that was my
I see where I wanted this. But again, I still want to do stuff like that. I love, I think my people skills would make me a good director. Maybe I'm not going to be the best camera director, Sometimes I always say like a Zack Snyder, a Christopher Nolan. They can direct people and their texts really well. Mm-hmm. I'm a people director. I'm going to leave it up to my DP. I want a good director of photography. Please do whatever lens. I don't care.
What would you want to shoot on? Would you want to just do digital or?
I mean,
it's too hard to go backwards. And
I would love to shoot a movie on like VHS, like a legit VHS movie. Just the aesthetic of it.
What an idea!
I mean, I love it. I love the aesthetic of, because again, I'm a '90s kid, so the camcorder with the time and the date and the little red record. That is an aesthetic I absolutely love, and I want to shoot on that. I think that'd be great. Found footage, scary movies or stuff like that. Stuff like that I love. I think I still want to do it. I'm only in my mid-30s. I'm technically not even in mid-30 yet. I am like 34.
Right.
I still have time.
That's a good age.
I still have time to do stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I can't imagine 22-year-old EJ
What's that thing over
to now. I'm a better, I think, artist. I have better reference points. I think I would be a better filmmaker now than I would when I got out of film
Because
school.
you have confidence now.
I have confidence.
Yeah.
I understand the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen more than just 5 gross, shocking movies in my life.
Right.
Because I went to film school like, I've seen the most disgusting movies ever. And I did. But then I'm like, but I've never seen, 8.5. I've never seen these classic movies and stuff like that. That I'm like, oh yeah, because I will watch Fellini, I guess now.
Yeah,
I'll go watch more Kubrick. That's not just The Shining. So I think I'm better educated now. I think I'm more comfortable as well, more confident.
Can you share with us any more interviews that you'll be doing?
I'm applying for them all the time.
Yeah.
I just applied to do the Minecraft junket, which
Okay.
is, Jason Momoa, Jack Black.
Mhm.
I would love Jennifer
yeah.
Coolidge. I would love to do stuff like that. I just posted a review for The Monkey right now, which is I'm hoping will do good as Longlegs last year.
Yeah.
Longlegs was this big, that was to me my big moment. I'm on the poster for long legs. I was quoted on the DVD case in the UK.
Saw that, yeah.
Like, stuff like that, it blows my mind that was able to happen. So
now talk a little bit about the monkey, because you described it to me, and I said, that sounds awfully familiar.
Yes, yeah. This movie where this monkey, it's kind of monkey's paw in a way, but like it's more like this little slapping guy, and yeah, you wish this monkey to do something, and it does the opposite, and it kills people, and it's just mayhem and madness. I love it, but that's the kind of movie I love. When they sent me to see that movie, I was like, I see why. It is people being lit on fire and poking their face, but it's all played with laughs. It's Looney Tunes, and I'm a Bugs Bunny fan. That was the first.
Is it going to be somewhat funny?
It is very funny, yeah, but like
campy.
In my review, I say it challenges you to laugh.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing people get brutally murdered, but it's that one where you go, oh no, I'm not supposed to laugh at them getting hit by the car. But it was just so, I love those. Final Destination. Yeah. I love those kind of. I love accidents, happy accidents. Those are kind of crazy to see. So yeah, I love it. I love getting to review stuff like this, and very privileged.
You might have seen my movie, The Revenge of Herman. That wasn't my movie, actually. I was just an actor in the movie.
Yes,
but it was the same premise. A monkey is basically trying to kill people, and so.
We're in a monkey year right now. We had that Robbie Williams movie where he was a CGI monkey. Planet of the Apes is always back. I'm like. Yeah. Are we about to be Planet of the Apes? Is that what?
It could be.
2025. Is that how this ends? Because at this point, it feels like it.
Yeah. That wouldn't be a bad ending.
I would take a monkey president at this point. Right? Yeah.
Well, this has been great, EJ. So, any advice for our young filmmakers and young TV production people out there?
I will leave you with a Rocky Horror Picture quote. Don't dream it, be it. That is a big thing. I dreamed of doing this. I dreamed of talking to celebrities. I wanted to do that. I was a Joan Rivers fan. What are you wearing? I love that. I wanted to be that. I dreamed of being that, and I just was like, you know what? I want to be it. So don't dream it, be it. Just try. Just do it. No's suck. They hurt. But no is just a 2-letter word. Move on. Find that yes that you want.
That's true. A lot of people in the industry give up too easy, because they hear no a couple of times. And that's just something that you have to live with.
Yeah.
And you've heard no a few times, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people love telling artists no. Yeah. They also know it fuels us.
Yeah.
They know that no will turn into a yes, and they want you to get angry, and they want you to be more motivated, and that's what I did. I got fired from Monkeys Fighting Robots, or left them, and I said, you know what? That was a stupid name for a company. I'm going to go work somewhere else. And you know what I mean? Like, I heard that no, and I just was like, I could just stop this and go work at Target, or I could be bigger. Yeah. And that's what I did. I elevated myself. So,
any projects you want to talk about?
Yeah. On this year on EJ Moreno's YouTube channel, I'm retro reviewing 25-year anniversaries. So I'm going back to the year 2000, Charlie's Angels, Miss Congeniality. Some good 2000s movies. I'm going to go review them.
It's hard to believe that was 25 years ago.
Trust me. Scream 3, when I just did that for my channel, I was just like, what do you mean that movie that I watched 100 times? Then I'm like, I rented that movie from Blockbuster. Oh, I am old. Like, and then you're like, aha,
oh my
yes.
God. What
Hollywood Video.
Who could ever think that Blockbuster and video stores are just gone? Is that sad or what?
I miss walking down the aisles of a video. Because, again, that's why I fell in love with movies. Like, well, what's the cover of that movie? Seeing the cover of Frankenhooker from, the early 90s, being like, well, what the hell was that movie? And then renting it, and then being like, maybe I shouldn't have rented that.
Right.
So yeah, I missed that, and I just those are just a nostalgic.
It's kind of like going into a record store. It's gone.
Yes, that's what I want to make my channel. I want you to feel like you're going to the video store again. I want you to see these titles that you're like, oh my goodness, I haven't thought about Hollow Man starring Kevin Bacon in 25 years. Let's talk about it. I want to do stuff like that.
Do you know what your bacon factor is? You have a bacon factor?
Now that I've interviewed enough celebrities, I'm sure Natalie Portman, I feel like she's my in on enough there. Something.
Yeah. You might be a bacon factor at 2 or
I'm a 2. I usually play my Gaga factor, and I'm always like, I met Bradley Cooper once, and I'm like, this is 1 away from Gaga. Like, this is big. Like, I was like, I just met Gaga, basically. So yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think that's about it. For anything else you want to add?
No. Thank you for talking to me about life and it's so weird being on this side of like not
Yeah.
having to think of questions.
Right.
This was so nice. That
I'm trying to think of the
I
questions.
had no research, and I love that.
That's cool. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everyone. Our guest has been EJ Moreno. He is the host of Flickering Myth, and he's a trainer here at TBCN, and we want to thank him for joining us. Tampa Bay Community Network offers media training, editing services, and resources to bring your ideas to life. Visit tbcn.org to learn more and check out our content on YouTube at Tampa Bay Community Network. See you next time.
I'm Tom Green, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.